Welcome to Shameless Leadership. I'm your host, Sarah Dean. This show is for women leaders who are committed to advancing both their own leadership and the leadership of those around them. In each episode, I offer practical strategies and inspiring stories to help you become a more confident, compassionate, and curious leader. The truth is, you were born to lead. So let's start now, together. Hello, Shameless Leaders. Today's episode is a little different, a little special. It's actually inspired by some volunteer work I'm doing. So I was recently given the opportunity to step into some volunteer work at Cristo Rey Jesuit High School in Seattle. And while I pretty quickly knew this was going to be fun and exciting and really meaningful and impactful work, I did not expect to be so deeply touched and just blown away, impressed by every aspect of the Cristo Rey mission and how their work is setting up these incredible students to be really strong leaders from a really young age. So as my work has quickly become really near and dear to my heart as I've been getting to know people in the Cristo Rey community, I thought it would be fun to have a different kind of conversation on the podcast today and talk about leadership in some different realms that we haven't touched on before. So I asked Katie Seltzer, who is the Vice President of Corporate Work Study at Cristo Rey, to join me, and she said yes. And so this conversation is something special. A little bit about Katie and her work. So Katie Seltzer leads the expansion of Cristo Rey's signature and truly exceptional corporate work study program here in Seattle at Cristo Rey Jesuit. In her role, Katie nurtures strategic partnerships with employers, ensuring that students gain meaningful, real-world professional experiences while earning toward the cost of their education. They have a really unique work study program. You're going to hear about it in our interview today. But Katie gets to set these students up with just incredible jobs on professional work sites in corporate work experiences from their freshman year in high school, which is so cool. So Katie's committed to preparing students from limited economic means for success in college and career through intentional mentorship, professional development, and high expectation work placements. Katie's journey with Cristo Rey Jesuit High School began as a feasibility study director, helping to assess and mobilize support for the school's launch in Seattle. In 2022, she relocated to Seattle and led the foundational work of opening the new Cristo Rey Jesuit High School, collaborating with volunteers, donors, business leaders, families, and community leaders to bring the mission to open the school's doors in 2024. She holds a master's degree from both Harvard Divinity School and Harvard's Graduate School. She's very well educated, you could say. She's originally from the East Coast, but she calls Queen Anne, a neighborhood here in Seattle, home with her husband and her 6-year-old son. So listen in to hear Katie share how she connects her family's 3 generations of educational values to her work, her impact, and her service today. Her commitment to expanding equitable outcomes and what that looks like in her current role as VP. Cristo Rey's unique educational model built on service, mentorship, and sponsorship. What it looks like when work and leadership opportunities are integrated into high school education programming, the significance of providing a culture of belonging in Fortune 500 companies for young people who commonly face barriers to belonging, a systems thinking approach to leadership legacy that layers youth leadership, educational leadership, and organizational leadership, and the power of dismantling systemic barriers to provide opportunity and advancement in your community and workplaces. This is a special conversation. I'm so grateful to Katie for coming in and having this conversation with me, but I'm also grateful for the students at Cristo Rey who really show up and shine in the work that they do, and for the entire administration at Cristo Rey Jesuit Seattle, who's just doing such an exceptional job being a really, really special place to grow leaders from such a young age here in Seattle. So with all that said, please join me in welcoming Katie Seltzer to the Shameless Leadership podcast. Katie, welcome to Shameless Leadership. I'm so excited to have you here today.
Thanks for having me. I'm also very excited to be here.
I always like to give a little context for how people end up on the show. So I had the opportunity through someone I went to high school with who's doing some work with your organization to come and tour your place of work back in December. And I was so blown away by the work that you do and by the work that Cristo Rey Jesuit High School does here in Seattle, that I said yes when given the opportunity to get involved in a couple different ways. And then as you and I were communicating about some of the stuff I'm going to be helping with, I thought, oh, wait, I think Katie might be a really great guest for the show. And you were so kind to say yes, even though I know you probably don't do a lot of podcast interviews and it might not be like your number one thing you want to do on any given day.
I mean, if you're not podcasting right now, are you even living? So I'm also feel like I'm behind the curve in a sense, but I'm really just excited to chat, and again honored that you have said yes to working with us, Sarah, and helping to share a lot of the work that we're doing, and hope I can share some insights as well.
Yeah. One of the things I was thinking about this morning as I was mentally preparing for our conversation, I was thinking about a conversation or a podcast episode I did just a few weeks ago about doing meaningful work, and how I feel like we're in this season where like the thing that keeps us going is being connected to meaningful work, because it's easy to find reasons to not keep going right now. Things are hard and scary and um, really challenging for so many people. And in being connected to the people that work with Cristo Rey High School, people on your board, and then in my time visiting the school and meeting with some of your leadership, the overwhelming theme has just been meaningful work and what it means to show up and do meaningful work. And so when I was thinking about our conversation, I was thinking about how when we get up in the morning and do things that are tied to our values, but also help us feel like we're doing something really purpose-filled every day, it really shifts our energy and our motivation around getting up, getting out the door, getting things done. And so I'm excited to talk about that element for you. And I'm curious how you're feeling about meaningful work right now. Before we kind of go into everything that you do, is meaningful work something that's really driving you?
Yes, every day, put simply. The world is heavy. It is a time in our collective experience and our history where what keeps me, getting up and pushing ahead as a mom, as a citizen, as a person who cares deeply about justice. The work that I get to do at Cristo Rey, Jesuit Seattle, every day, that we are a beacon of light. Our students who get up, and many of them living in South King County. We're located in Rainier Beach. Some of them get up at 5:30 in the morning to take a bus to our campus, and are overcoming obstacles every day to be with us and achieve at the levels of excellence we expect of them in rigorous college prep education, and then in this innovative work study program that we have, inspire me every day. And it's greater than the challenges that I personally face, but it's a gift to be able to be a part of the change they are creating, and our school is creating in a very small way that has ripple effects across our communities.
Yeah. And so many of the people that I'm in conversation with and interviewing, they're in a more kind of corporate traditional, especially being in Seattle, like Seattle tech leadership roles. And it's interesting and humbling and exciting and really, really touching to see leadership work in that capacity, where you're being of service in a way that is so deeply meaningful. So I want to talk a little bit about where you went to school and where you've ended up. And so you went to grad school at Harvard, which is no small thing, and then have gone into work in this advanced role in education, really profoundly dedicating your time to service. Can you talk a little bit about that? And we actually, right before hitting record, we touched on Jesuit values. And so someone who's gone to Gonzaga twice, a Jesuit school, there's this like connection it's like inextricable at a certain point, where like values from education or upbringing, sometimes like there's just no getting away from them. And not that we're bringing all the layers of our history into our workplace every day, but sometimes we do get the benefit of being able to really closely tie our personal values into our work. And I can see that in what you're doing. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. It's really when I reflect on this, this head and heart work that I see coming together that again, I get the gift of doing every day at Cristo Rey Jesuit Seattle. And I trace that back to, the ways in which we are formed before we even arrive here. I'm third generation educator on both sides of my family, and, a family who... One grandfather is a son of Irish immigrants, grew up on a farm in Brooklyn, attended Manhattan College, and was a PE major, but went into business. And that education, college education, changed the trajectory of his life and subsequently of, his children, and I as a grandchild as well. His wife went to college, so I had a grandmother who went to college, which also was exceptional in that time period of the early 20th century. On my dad's side, my grandfather, growing up in the Depression, was able to only get a job as a teacher at first. He taught high school physics and could only get a job in a school district far away from where he lived because other school districts didn't hire Catholics. And so there's also this family tradition, I think, that aligns with this Jesuit commitment that I came to in college and later on in my professional life, of this commitment to justice, that we are committed to bringing forth a better world and experiencing that, those personal instances of injustice, and knowing that's not the case for all people and all families is part of this shared work. And then again, on my father's side, my grandmother was a teacher by profession. She taught actually vocational skills in New Jersey public schools, so typing and shorthand and business skills for mostly women to be secretaries at that time. And then she spoke also very, again, deeply and personally when she went to college, and she went to the University of Pennsylvania. She was a very smart woman, but women in that time had limited career options. She couldn't take advanced math classes in the business school. Women were not permitted at Wharton in this time period. And so there's that sense of, again, equity. She got to take classes, but the business professors came to the School of Education. And that was an explicit, barrier that she, found a way, was able to access in a certain way. But I think in the ways in which I was brought up in a family that had experienced obstacles, but then also was committed to removing barriers to educational or economic advancement, is a little bit what's in my blood. And then my dad and my mom were in the healthcare professions. And my dad was a dentist, but he also was a high school teacher before then. And my mom was a school nurse and then taught school nursing as well. So again, raised in this way that service is who we are as a family. This is what we do. We're about expanding equitable outcomes, be it educational, economic, healthcare outcomes. And again, that advancement of opportunity, my great grandparents and grandparents were afforded me a Jesuit education at Holy Cross. And there I really got this head part, this, heart and blood part is in the work of my family upbringing. And at Holy Cross, I really fell in love with this Jesuit concept of being people for and with others, that again, putting words to it that, again, my family raised me in and didn't articulate it in that exact same way, and put forward in this specific education that we're all given opportunities and special gifts. I'm, talented in some ways and have this drive for excellence and continuous improvement that I've developed that can be used in the service of advancing opportunity for others. And just a little bit before I went to Harvard Graduate School, I had the opportunity to put this education into practice at Cristo Rey, New York High School. So I got to teach for the first time in a school that has the same mission, part of the larger Cristo Rey network. Now there are 41 schools in the Cristo Rey network. Cristo Rey Jesuit Seattle is the 40th of these schools. And working at Cristo Rey, New York really opened up my eyes to this transformational educational opportunity. Our students there were working in Midtown in investment banks and global law firms. They're working on Wall Street. Again, having access to these jobs and careers that previously they had no idea, what someone does on the stock exchange or what an investment banker does or someone working in HR at a global law firm. And the ways in which my students' opportunities were transformed in the colleges they got to attend, as well as the careers they got to experience afterwards, really set me on fire with this model of education. And so when the opportunity came about in the pandemic, and it really was, let me make lemonade out of this lemon of a pandemic, Harvard Graduate School of Education opened up an online opportunity for the first time. I have this drive, recovering perfectionist, but also this drive for excellence if I'm going to do this. And I wanted to really scale my impact from a classroom. Teaching hundreds of students is no small thing. But then to think about how can we bring this to systems and ecosystems at a larger scale was something that I knew the evidence-based and, incredible faculty at Harvard Graduate School of Education would, again, afford me this opportunity for learning, particularly around advancing these skills at a larger scale. So that's what brought me there. Long way of describing this, a bit of my blood that's invested in this work, a whole lot of my heart, and a whole lot of my head as well.
I love how it all weaves together and is all like such a clear there's such a clear path to where you are now. Although it's not a path you
didn't always feel that way.
I was going to say, and this is like the beauty of hindsight, right? You're like, oh, it's so obvious I'd be here right now. But, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years ago, you would have been like, well, I don't know where I'm going. Who knows what's next?
Right. Yeah.
I love the through lines, though. And as it relates to multiple generations in your family, I think it's really interesting and fun. And maybe this is one of the gifts of, I just turned 50. And so one of the gifts of turning 50 is being able to have enough time under your belt to look back and see those through lines. But I think it's so interesting and fun to be able to see layers and to see these parts of you that were always there, but when we're just living our day-to-day life, we don't see it.
Totally.
But when you get enough decades under your belt, you're like, oh, it's always been there. And this is something that I can see through the course of my life has guided me or, been intentionally integrated into everything that I do, or sometimes unintentionally integrated into everything that I do. When I think about your family history and your educational background and the work that you've done leading up to the work that you're doing now with Cristo Rey, there's so many beautiful overlaps. And I think for me, I've always been someone who I appreciate the education that I've gotten because it so easily could have missed me. Being raised by a single mom who happened to be a Catholic school teacher, that's how I got the education that I got, because she got me she was able to bring my sister and I to school for practically free at the time, back in the 80s. Excuse me. And that then gave me a springboard to get into a private high school and to get into Gonzaga and to get a lot of my school funded through scholarships and through financial aid and through work study. And I'm going to have to share my first work study experience in a minute, but because it's a really good one. But
Good.
I think that when I look back at the value that I got out of those experiences and having a parent who really sacrificed for those things, and then also being able to see how I got something that was, really unique and special. And I think any educational path is unique and special. I don't think that doing private education is the only way or the right way or necessarily the best way, but I feel like I got a lot of really great gifts because of that. And when I see the opportunities that are being presented to the kids at Cristo Rey, I think about my own experience, acknowledging that I carry so much privilege but also recognizing some of the things that I didn't have alongside a lot of my peers, especially going to schools where there was just always a lot of money around me.
Mm-hmm.
My first work study job, though, I'll have to say, or actually it was my second. So my first work study job at Seattle Prep was helping out in the library and like organizing library books and like checking books in and out and things like that. No big deal. My second work study job, I was also a student who was embarrassed to be doing work study. So I would try to leave school. My work study jobs were always like the hour or two after school. So I'd try to like pretend I was leaving campus, but then like sneak into wherever I was doing work study. So my second work study job was working in the science lab and after school. And I would wait until I knew people were gone before I would go into the science lab to go do my thing because I didn't want people to ask what I was doing there because I didn't want people to know I was doing work study. And I would go up there and there'd be no one else in the labs, no teachers, no one. And I had to feed live mice to snakes, to live snakes.
Amazing.
And the snakes were in these I think there was 3 of them, each of them in a very like tall, skinny tank. And I had to take a live mouse out of a little like fish tank thing and then reach my arm in and get the mouse on the ground and then get my arm out. And I mean, like just even thinking about it makes my body like have that feeling when you see like a big spider run across the room.
Oh my gosh.
So every time I'd be like, okay, like just take a deep breath. And I would think about, okay, like how quickly can a snake wrap itself around my arm and kill me before someone would, and like how long would it be before the janitor would find me because there's no one around? Like, would I have time to scream? So I did this it was either my sophomore or junior year. I absolutely hated this job. But
I can't.
These are the things. So bringing it back to Cristo Rey, I'm pretty sure none of your work study students are feeding mice to snakes.
We have a special exemption from the U.S. Department of Labor that makes our program nationally recognized for its compliance. We are in full compliance with Washington State child labor regulations as well. And I can assure you, even the students who are working at the Woodland Park Zoo, who would probably love to be feeding the tigers, are not. But they could tell you, again, some amazing stories about what they're doing. But this is also, I think you're getting at something like, even deeper, Sarah, about like how we think about work. Yeah. Right?
And please go into that. And I want to just, not to cut you off, please tell people a little bit about the work study program as you're integrating in where you want to go next with this.
Yeah, totally. So there's, ways in which we've thought about work study as simply a means to an end, right? That all of us have something that we need to do to get something, whether it's a paycheck or it's a scholarship, it's a paycheck that goes directly to educational needs, and that it's really just, I'm doing this because it's getting me something at the end. And one of the, other beautiful things, and I think a really creative thing when you even go back to that first question you asked about, the heaviness of the world right now and finding meaning and doing meaningful work. Part of the ways in which our work at Cristo Rey is meaningful is because it's creative and it's imaginative and it's really breaking open and turning upside down some of these preconceived notions we have about what education needs to look like and what work needs to look like and how those two are related to each other. So I'll go back for a second. I was a history major at the College of the Holy Cross, so I never shy away from a little history lesson. The first Cristo Rey school opened in Chicago in 1996. And it really was this community response to a predominantly Mexican-American immigrant community in the Pilsen neighborhood of Chicago that said to the Jesuits who were in community in solidarity with them, we want a good school for our students to go to. We want them to have good jobs. And the Jesuits in this neighborhood at this time said, great, Jesuit education, we know this, we can do this, we can start a school in this neighborhood, a high school for these families. And then they kind of paused, and I'm, storytelling here a bit, paused and said, wait a second, the schools that we typically run are for families with disposable income to pay tuition, and they are tuition-driven schools. But how do we literally keep the lights on, pay teachers for a school model that doesn't have the same tuition-driven model? How do we create a school that is just as strong academically and programmatically as any school that an affluent family would be able to access for families who, again, don't have that disposable income? And the work study program was born. It was really, necessity's the mother of invention. How, again, are you going to bring in dollars to pay the bills? And students almost worked exclusively at law firms as file clerks. This was, again, before video technology like this has changed, it totally revolutionized how we all work.
Yeah.
But students went off to work in Chicago in this time period. And again, it was utilitarian at first, right? We need a means to an end. But what emerged, and this again is a gift of Jesuit education, it's a gift of Ignatian spirituality. St. Ignatius, really revolutionized spirituality by inviting people to imagine, right? That prayer is not just rote. Our religious practices are not just rote memorizations and rituals that are meaningless, but invites us into deep experience and imagination. And so from this gift of imagination and creativity, this work study program was born. But then what the students saw in the workplace and what they reported was, we're developing relationships with professionals who are investing in us. They're mentoring us day to day. And they're providing us with these opportunities that I never thought I could go to law school. But this attorney is now mentoring me and showing me, pulling back the curtain, this hidden knowledge is now accessible to me, that I can go to law school, that they'll help me with my resume. They're going to help me with my college application. I've got this great standout experience that I can write about and bring all these transferable skills. So I'm more likely and more successful in college than my demographic peers. And so what has scaled, and again, in the early 2000s, there was a catalytic gift from several philanthropists, including the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation here in Seattle, that scaled the Cristo Rey network across the country. And so again, we're 41 schools now, and Seattle's the 40th of these, that has integrated this work study program for families, again, who don't have traditional access to private education and all of the scholarships. And in Seattle, right, in this unique time, we started last year in 2024, work is really different. So we have students who are working in law firms and they love it. And they're working with attorneys to do some file management and research and helping with document tracking and administrative tasks in the office. We also have students working at an AI tech startup where they are coding metadata and updating data for the CRM. They're building this AI virtual assistant alongside Harvard Business School graduates and former Zillow executives. And so with the work study program, there is this opportunity for our students to go off one day a week. And this is kind of in the weeds of how it works. Our students
This is
come
the part
to
I
school.
think is so interesting, though. So get in the weeds with this, because this is when I was first learning about this program, I was like, oh, it's so integrated. The uniqueness of the program and the way that work is integrated into education, I think is so cool. So go ahead and take us in the weeds.
Yeah. So one day a week, our students come to school. They arrive to our campus around 7:30 in the morning. They get breakfast. Then at 7:45, they get ready to go to work. And so 7:45 to 8:05, they have a short mini lesson. We gather as a cohort. It's one group goes every day of the week, and we prepare a mini lesson. And I have an amazing work study team and a training and development specialist who sets the curriculum for that day and says, today we're going to practice right now making small talk. And so the Seahawks just won the Super Bowl. So here's what we're going to talk about. So you can walk into the office and build this rapport, because when you're able to do that with your supervisor, it leads to these greater things. So we have this concentrated, short curriculum moment in the morning where we send off our students with a practical tool, which again is part of this hidden world sometimes that not everyone has access to.
Yeah.
If you don't have a parent or a teacher or a professor who specifically teaches you the importance of building rapport with your coworkers and your supervisors, you are missing out on, again, some knowledge that can be kept exclusive, and it can, again, reinforce barriers to opportunity. So we're very explicit about removing anything that could be secretive or just passed on through unique circles. After this mini lesson, our students have a lunch. They can always bring lunch from home, but we provide them with a lunch, and then they go off in a van, and we have a van that drives up to Montlake Terrace at Premier Blue Cross where students work. We have students who go to the east side, and they're working at PACCAR Corporate in Bellevue, at Microsoft's campus in Redmond, Costco headquarters in Issaquah, van that goes downtown to amazing businesses there, Seattle Bank, Karen Cross Hempelman, attorneys at law. We have students working in private equity, Sugar Mountain, Beecher's Cheese, as well as Silver Creek Capital. And down south, students are working at Alaska Airlines and at Providence Healthcare in Renton. And there's this logistical piece where we are in the business of education as well as logistical operations of transportation, sending the students off to all parts of the metro area. And then they are gone from 9 to 4 and at work. And the supervisors that we partner with have some training that they do with us and are set up to support our students in meaningful ways. But our students are really there to contribute to the bottom line of the organization where they are. They're doing real work, and the money they earn comes back to the school that offsets the cost of tuition. It's done through a process that keeps it tax-free for families. So we set up an educational assistant program within the school structure so that the fee-for-service that the partner organizations pay it again remains tax-free for our families. And then our students are, again, getting 20% of their high school education on the job. So they are learning in real time customer service. They are learning the technical, skills needed to run Workday. They're working at Primera in dispositioning candidates that apply for jobs and in the Workday system. They're helping at Alaska with recruiting and training programs for flight attendants and for pilots, setting up the conferences when there are these incredible events that organizations have. At PACCAR, they are working at first in HR to really learn the PACCAR way of proceeding and the attention to detail and excellence that they require there, and have then been sent out into different business units like the tax unit and purchasing and corporate credit and IT. So again, learning these very discrete skills that will be transferable across whatever their career journeys are in the future. And in this accelerated way, we really are an incubator of sorts of setting up our students who have been historically denied access to rigorous, high-impact educational opportunities, but putting them in an incubator and increasing that academic rigor on our academic side, and this opportunity to spend 20% of their education in a real job, not feeding mice to snakes after school, but, really applying different skills that is creative, and it's opening up these opportunities for them to stand up a little taller because they have on their resume they're working at a Fortune 500 company. There are stories from the Cristo Rey network of colleges calling specific schools when a student has applied to college and fact-checking, the student's resume and saying, is this true that they worked at a law firm for 4 years? And we get to say, yes, this is this incredible, unique experience that our schools, here in Seattle and then across the country provide, that's unheard of and is part of how we're changing the course of what educational potential can look like.
Oh my gosh, I love all that. And being in the weeds, I think, is the most interesting part. So thank you for taking us in there and really showing what the program looks like. One of the things that jumped out at me as you were talking was thinking through how you are creating a place where students feel like they belong, and giving job opportunities where they feel like they belong in organizations that maybe either they or their family members wouldn't necessarily assume they would be able to find a place of belonging. And thinking that, commonly at the high school level, and especially at the high school level, thinking through first jobs and communities where there are barriers to access to, big work opportunities. First jobs often look like fast food restaurants and things more in that hospitality realm. And there's many great, valuable lessons to those kinds of first jobs. And when a student can go on site and feel like they belong in the organizational culture of a big tech company or a company that's that is, whose brand they've had awareness of their brand their whole life, that's always seemed unattainable for maybe anyone in their family in terms of being able to get a role there. I think that there's something really different that happens in terms of self-concept and sense of identity, and seeing potential for where a student can see themselves later in life, and the value of being able to build them as leaders from such an early stage and position them in a way that you belong here. You belong here as someone who's contributing in a really impactful way. You belong here as someone who is, uniquely qualified to be here, and that they're being given these skills. I love the example of like making small talk, because these are the things, like I see this all the time in, top tech companies. People who are promoted into leadership positions who they literally don't know how to make small talk, and their leadership really struggles because of it. They've had such poor leadership training, and there's such poor leadership development training that they're put into positions where they really struggle with that interpersonal communication. And when you're teaching those kinds of lessons from an early age and in these really early professional stages, the ability to work, I would imagine it fast tracks these students' ability to work their way up as they get older and older, which I think is just incredibly valuable.
Yeah. By design and intentionally is how we do this. And I'll start at the school and then kind of zoom out to how we do this with the work study program. We serve students in Seattle. 98% of our students are students of color. And so, again, we are hyper aware that they are coming from a variety of middle schools with a variety of access points to, again, rigorous, high-quality education. We draw students from over 20 different middle schools right now. When we admit a student into our school, we do so with an interview process. So even from those initial applications, we are setting that intention with students and families that we are a community of human to human, right? We are going to be together in this work. When we commit to a student, when we accept them, we're really making an 8-year or longer commitment to their success. We say to them, you will graduate from this high school. You will graduate from college, and we are going to be with you every step of the way. And so in those initial interviews, we ask students, where are you thinking about college? And if they say, I haven't yet, that's fine. We're going to invite you in the summer in a couple months, and we're going to go visit UW and Seattle U. How does that make you feel? And they say excited. And we say, amazing. We're going to be with you every step of the way. With this admissions process, once students come to us, we have several months too of again incorporating family engagement and their opportunities to deepen connections to the work study program, even before they're a ninth grader, even before they've said yes to us. So we have an event in March where some of our corporate partners will be speaking on a panel to potential students and interested students about here are all the reasons why we want you to come to this school so you can potentially work for us. And so we have leaders from Fred Hutch Cancer Center, from Baker Tilly accounting firm, someone from Caring Cross Hempelman, attorneys at law, who are there to tell potential students, we are so committed to this school that we want you. We haven't even really met you personally yet, but we want you to come work for us. And then once students are fully admitted, we have a 3-week summer training program that we call Montserrat, and this comes from Jesuit spirituality and language. It was a place where St. Ignatius, in his story of becoming a leader and the founder of the Jesuits, had this literal moment of going up a mountain. In Spanish, it means kind of bumpy or hilly mountain, and like a serrated knife, if you think about that, Montserrat. So he went up this mountain and laid down his swords. He had been a soldier, and he said, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm committing myself to love. I'm committing myself to this new opportunity. And that's what we ask of our students in these 3 weeks of, really training. And it's that place of rootedness in love that we build community within our student body. We are fiercely committed to hiring staff who come from backgrounds similar and reflective of the many identities of our students. We have about 65% of our student-facing staff who are identified as people of color. Many are multilingual, many are of different religious traditions. So again, from the community we're building as a school, through this corporate work study program, we are highlighting the gifts of our students. They come to us with so many, there's kind of an education term of funds of knowledge and gifts. They come to us, as multilingual and culturally rich, that they bring their whole selves. And we ask our faculty to bring their whole selves. And we ask our partners to really put forward a student experience that embraces their whole selves. So with this summer training program, we do community building, this leadership training that includes ropes course, it includes college visits, it includes handshake workshops of come and shake a professional's hand and again, work on that elevator pitch. So, you can do that chit chat and those kind of silent, awkward moments going up the elevator for the first time.
Yeah.
And then from that, our students are fully welcomed into the school community. And we do this, again, we're a startup. So everything we do is really the first time. And maybe there's another Cristo Rey school that we're taking, a page out of their playbook. But for us in Seattle, it is fully new and it's fully our own. So we have a tie ceremony on the last day of the summer training program. So students, earn a tie and they tie it on, and we wear that to our formal events on campus, and their families are invited to that. We ask volunteers to come help them tie on that tie. And then to celebrate the launch of the work program in the fall, we have this amazing event called Draft Day. And we've modeled it after the professional sports drafts. And
I've seen the
have
video from last year, and
yeah,
I mean, it's so good.
it's a production.
I'm planning on being in the next Draft Day. I want to see this
Excellent.
in person.
Oh, good.
It
It's
looks
so
amazing.
fun. Yeah. And so link in your show notes.
Yeah, yes,
we can put the video
yes.
in the show notes.
We will put the video for sure.
And but back to this sense of belonging, we again have to build new rituals and opportunities for students to again feel that sense of belonging. And so this is a rare moment in our society as it is now, where we have the CEO of PACCAR on stage with other executives, C-suite, and leaders of, again, a Fortune 500 company that makes the best trucks in the world, with students from Federal Way, and their families are in the audience, and students' families who have come from all over the world in hopes of better opportunity here in Seattle. And they're all in this one place celebrating our students. So we call the names of the students and we say, Afrada and Beth and Derek and McLeet, you are working at PACCAR this year. And there is the team who has pom-poms and, a little backpack of merch to welcome the students to the company. And it's this real celebration of what's possible. And it's an unknown and it can be really scary. So we build in these moments of, again, demystifying what corporate culture is like, professional culture, but then making it fun, right? What we do is really patently absurd, right? There are 14-year-olds that we are saying to our work study partners, trust us. They will not be swinging from the chandeliers. They will be adding value. They will be reliable. They will be an asset to your team. Mm-hmm. And there's this sense of just immense, again, imagination, creativity, and hope that we make visible through this work. And then, really nerding out and how do you build a startup and build these programs. And I think this ties back to, again, why I pursued a graduate degree in this type of work is, we're building the capacity of so many people in this. Mm-hmm. And so we're building the capacity of our supervisors, people who raise their hands and they say, we want to do this. We believe in this mission. We are so hyper community focused. We understand this hyper local impact we're making, but we've never worked with 14-year-olds. And we know we're a company that is predominantly white and, has not always been the most welcoming place. And so teach us, and we do. And so we have trainings for our supervisors. We provide one-to-one account management where if there's an issue with a student and a question, they can call us and we help them work through that coaching with our students one-to-one too, when we have to help them get back on track in the workplace. And then capacity building of the students, that 3 weeks in the summer is not gonna, be a panacea. It's not the silver bullet in that language to set them up for success, that they need ongoing upskilling and reflection too. So there's also a saying in Jesuit education, repetition is a hallmark, repetitio, repetitio, repetitio in Latin. And so one day a week they have a corporate work study class. And part of that is to reinforce those soft and technical skills so that they're, again, keeping fresh and they have skin in the game with the work study placement.
I was thinking through the layers of leadership legacy as you were speaking, and what came to mind was 3 different a Venn diagram, if you will, of like 3 different circles of there's the leadership legacy of the Cristo Rey school or the Cristo Rey network of all the schools in terms of what you're building and what the individual leaders, yourself included in that, Katie, what the individual leaders are building in terms of their own leadership legacies within whatever school they're at. then I'm thinking through the leadership legacies of the students who are from such an early age having these opportunities to show up and learn and figure things out and, really get their hands dirty in these environments. And then I'm also, what I hadn't thought of before was the leadership legacy of these organizations. And as you pointed out, companies who might recognize, like, maybe we haven't done the best at this. Maybe we have room to grow. Maybe we want to be like more inclusive, or we want to, lean into our values in a more actionable way. And it's a leadership legacy opportunity, a leadership legacy building opportunity for these organizations as well, for an organization to say, like, this is a part of who we are, part of what we do in our work and those that we serve and in our mission, through our mission and our values, is that we are supporting the next generation of leaders, or we're supporting a generation of leaders who maybe wouldn't otherwise have access to these kinds of opportunities. And to me, that feels really, really exciting and compelling. And it doesn't feel like, oh, we're just like doing these students a favor. It feels really like we have an opportunity here. And it's a win-win-win between the school, the students, and the organization. And that feels, when I think about those multiple layers of leadership legacy, that feels really exciting. Do you want to, before we're already out of time, but
how is that possible?
I know, it went so fast. But before we wrap,
I'm a talker.
No, and I love it. And I could go for like 3 more hours, but I want to respect your time. Before we wrap, do you want to touch on that before we start wrapping up?
Yeah. I mean, we are so lucky that, and again, I've been working on this project since 2022. I directed the feasibility study, working with over 40 volunteers to determine if there was need and support for this school. So that included raising seed capital, including, again, pitching this idea to our partners and saying, we don't exist yet, but when we do exist, will you hire our students? And luckily, we have these incredible statistics of success and performance metrics from our sister schools across the country. Our students are 2.5 times more likely to graduate from college in 4 to 6 years compared to their demographic peers. 1 in 3 of our students ends up studying something related to their work study program. I guess you didn't go into zoology.
No,
with
definitely
your work
did
study.
not. Our mutual friend Sarah Valentine is probably so disappointed in me, but you will not find me working at the zoo anytime.
Right. But our students who are working in healthcare, 1 in 3 of them are going to go on to something in that field. So we had those proven statistics, but this is a vision. And it is still a vision. And every time there is a partner who says yes, there is a family who comes and says, we see what you are doing and we believe in this work and this is where we want our student to go. It is a gift that I hold and the school holds with so much reverence because it is collective. If we are talking about dismantling systemic barriers to opportunity and, ultimately economic advancement, it takes all of us. And so this, I think, legacy in that leadership way is the ripple effects are immense. And that humbles me when I think about it and kind of stand in awe of this, that our students are getting this incredible opportunity to walk into these spaces that they then impact their supervisors, and their supervisors impact the organization, and the organization commits to perhaps taking more students in the future. And again, our world, our city and our state looks different. There are real goals that the state of Washington has for students to attain credentials, to have 70% of our jobs are requiring some sort of advanced degree, whether it's a bachelor's degree or a post-secondary credential. And we're not on track with our high school graduates to meet that demand of our workforce. And so there's a real demonstrable effect that our school is a part of with the success our students have in the workplace.
Love it. So good. I want to ask you at least 18 more questions, but we don't have
Yep.
time. So
That's
tell
okay.
people. So
Well,
I want to ask this question about how people can get involved. I think has a couple different layers to it that I had not thought about. I only was thinking about one layer when we first started talking. But as you mentioned, there's Cristo Rey schools everywhere. So we're here in Seattle. There's Cristo Rey Jesuit in South Seattle. Tell people how, if they are working for an organization in Seattle that might be interested in just learning more information about the corporate work study program and how their organization can get involved, how can they get in touch with you? And then also for people who are listening from all around the country, where there might be other Cristo Rey schools, can you point to a resource for connecting with other schools as well?
Yeah, exactly. So you can find us in Seattle, hopefully linked in the show notes too, Sarah.
Yes, of course.
CristoReySeattle.org. And there's comprehensive information about our work study program. Part of our work, the exciting part is coming to visit us, take a tour of the school, and
yes, which
meet
is
some
like
of our...
a must. It's visiting is so cool. So I just loved my visit.
It's so fun to, again, have people come for the first time and see the magic. It's a magical thing that we do every day, and our students bring us so much magic themselves. The Cristo Rey Network is another resource, and across the country, they are based in Chicago, and we'll link in the show notes, of course, to that. But it is CristoReyNetwork.org. And from there, you can see if there is an opportunity to connect locally in your city where you are. There are many places where we are. And then we have lots of opportunities. We have guest speakers come and talk to our students about their career paths. And again, we are all about promoting diversity of experiences and career paths. It's all about exposure. We have this handshake workshop in the summer that is a volunteer opportunity for an hour or so to literally come shake hands and give our students some feedback and tell them that it's a real skill set. We've had folks come and say our students are better at handshaking than their college interns and their coworkers in a professional setting. And come to draft day next September. It'll be a fun celebration, and we love highlighting the gifts and talents of our students.
I will link everything there in the show notes. And then if anyone wants an introduction to you, if anyone wants to reach out to me one-on-one, I'm happy to connect people directly to Katie for you to get more information on working with Cristo Rey Seattle. And then our final question, how are you currently showing up as a shameless leader? Which you've given us many examples of, but how would you like to close it out?
I am shameless about excellence. And again, I say this as a recovering perfectionist, but I am not going to settle for anything less than the best for our students when it comes to their experience in the workplace, in the academics that we provide them, the college prep education. Our work study team is a team that is committed to continuous improvement and operational excellence. We know we have so many stakeholders. Stakeholder alignment is a key piece of my work. And, there is that excellence that we want to deliver when partners say yes to us as well. And so it really comes from this place of knowing my husband's a cross-country runner. He ran at Gonzaga, go Zags, so honorary Zag here, I like to say. But there's that Prefontaine quotation that cross-country runners love and coaches love of, to give anything less than your best is to sacrifice the gift. And our students have so many gifts, and we call them forth every day. And it's that Jesuit commitment to the magis of being more and striving for the greater glory that infuses everything that we do. So I am shameless about that commitment.
I love it. Thank you so much, Katie. Oh my gosh, this was so fun, so interesting. And I love this diversion from kind of traditional organizational leadership, in air quotes, or corporate leadership. I think it's really, really cool and fun and exciting to see the different all the different capacities in which we have the opportunity to impact leadership and also raise great leaders. So this was really special. Thank you so much for your time. We'll link everything that Katie mentioned in terms of websites and et cetera in the show notes. And then join us at draft day and go visit the school and reach out and see how you can get involved. And Katie, when there's more to share, please come back and share more with us here in Shameless Leadership. This was so much fun. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Sarah.
Thank you for allowing me to spend time in your ear today. If you liked this episode, be sure to subscribe to this channel. To learn more about my speaking, training, and coaching services, visit sarahdean.com. That's SARADEAN. I would also love for you to connect with me on LinkedIn at sarahdean.com/LinkedIn or on Instagram at sarahdeanspeaks. I love hearing from my listeners. Thank you for showing up for yourself today. I see you, I hear you, and I'm holding space for you today and every single day.